What's up, YouTube? It's Ricky here. I'm bringing you a deck tech for the Water Firelight Tempo deck that I've been working on for the past few days. Got a lot of games in against a Nature Dark Light control deck that used new cards from the new set that we've seen so far, like Queen Kalima and Twilight Archon, Veilstalker, and Necros. So this is the deck list. I'll just go ahead and give you guys a quick overhead shot of it so that you can use your screenshot if you want the list. I'll start from the top and go over. 3 Lyra for the light. Start off the light section. Lyra is just a solid creature. The goal of this deck, it's sort of anti-control. Like if you have a meta that's just a lot of control decks, it's really good. Mostly just because of these cards right here. The goal of the deck is to land one or more of these 2 creatures and then just start attacking shields, and the rest of the deck is basically just getting blockers and creatures that can attack over them, like out of play, just bouncing them, killing them, whatever you gotta do. So Lyra does an amazing job at that. She's a way to deal with those creatures, like blockers and things that can attack over your Keeper of Laws and your King Nemesis, but she also represents a threat in herself because she is a 6,000 power double breaker. 1 Stormspark Blast, just because you can have it. This it's great to have it shields, obviously, but you don't always mana zone it because this is something that will tap down multiple blockers and it'll get your Nemesis and your Laws through to finish the game off. It's tested really well, definitely positive in matches, one more than I lost. The deck doesn't completely revolve around these 2 cards though. There's this ever popular Seneschal beatdown where you go turn 3 Seneschal into Rusalka and a removal spell into Finbar. Now, you get Finbar as an excellent addition to the Seneschal beatdown plan, and what started off with this deck, the reason that there's actually a fire section right now, this might change to a different civilization section, but I kind of wanted to have, and it was just an idea at the time, but Keeper of Laws, King Nemesis, and Ragefire Tetsurion. I thought it might be really cool to have 3 creatures with Shroud, or can't be targeted, in their text, and I tested out Ragefire, and he was just mana every time, so I cut him from the deck. This might change to a different civ, but from what I tested, it was really good. So, but it doesn't revolve all around those creatures. There's several other things you can be doing. You can just play the big creature mid-range beatdown with the General Sky Crushers and the Billion Degree Dragon and the Lyras. You can go Seneschal beatdown, which is really nice. Basically, just play your dudes. I wouldn't start attacking shields until you have a Keeper of Laws, a Seneschal, or an Nemesis in play, so you can start getting some kind of benefit. Gilaflame, he was an automatic inclusion for the deck for me because there's a lot of turns where you just need an extra attacker, and he's an excellent fast attacker. He's incredibly hard to deal with. It's sort of the opposite sense of Keeper of Laws and King Nemesis, and that's that he can't be attacked, is the way you can't deal with him, and you can't target him with spells from your hand. Shield Blast is the only way to deal with him, so he's sort of a creature that can't be targeted. It can't be targeted on your opponent's turn, of course, but he can be discarded via remove or mesmerizes and fumes and such. But he's still an excellent card in the deck. General Sky Crusher. I chose him over Tetsurion the Unchained mostly because of the 8,000 power body. Because if you have him in play and you need to deal with creatures with Piercing Judgment or Lyra, he's just better at doing it. That's pretty much my only reasoning. He banishes pretty much everything that Tetsurion the Unchained does. Even though I did choose to run Tetsurion the Unchained in my deck for the championship because I was more worried about cards like Aqua Strider and General Finbar, like Aqua Strider being able to kill my birds, and Finbar for the huge tempo swings where they get a lot of card advantage off of him. But in this deck, I'm not so worried. I'm going to be giving my opponent a lot of cards by attacking shields early, so that's fine. Billion Degree could easily be a Bolt Tail Dragon. I just couldn't find a Bolt Tail Dragon. I found a Billion Degree Dragon first. He's an 8 mana fast attacking double breaker, which is what was important. Billion Degree Dragon does have his uses though. You can play him to just attack over a blocker that would be blocking a King Nemesis or a Keeper of Laws, which is totally fine. So, but he could very easily be a Bolt Tail Dragon, whichever one you have. Tornado Flame is just the best removal spell Red has. I chose not to include any barrages or Dragon's Breath or anything in here. That could be something that's in that spot there. Like I said, this is just an early version of the deck. I just threw it together and just started testing it. I thought I'd share it with you guys because it's been fun to play. 3 Piercing Judgments, just excellent Shield Blast. It almost takes the place of Stormspark Blast because a lot of the times it is Stormspark Blast. 1 Wave Lancer, I'm a big fan of this guy. Ever since Bobby played him at the championship, I've been putting him in decks and trying him out, and he's been testing really well. He's a really, really good way to protect Keeper Balls and Kingdom just because he just keeps coming back. He can block a Lyra, and then you just replay him and just keep attacking. He's an excellent blocker. As well as Star Lantern. I don't know if people have just forgotten about Star Lantern or if Aqua Strider may just be better, but I've liked I've liked Star Lantern better because being able to block 2 creatures with this deck is more important since you're trying to protect creatures instead of protect your shields. So I'd put a Star Lantern in there. He could easily be an Aqua Strider, but that's, requires more testing to determine. The key of the deck, Keeper Balls and King Neptus, they're both excellent against control. They're fine in other matchups too. There's a lot of times where I could go in for game with like Seneschals and Finbars and Lyris, but I don't want to go into game unless I have one of these so I don't die to a Shield Blast. Through Rusalka, one of the best blue creatures they printed. This guy's insane. Such a huge tempo swing whenever they get to like tap out all their mana for a creature. If that creature doesn't have a come into play effect and you play a Rusalka, it's just the best. You just take an extra turn. It's absolutely insane. 3 logo scans just for a card draw engine. If you don't have a Seneschal or a Finbar, you can fall behind, or a Keeper of Laws, of course, against spell heavy decks. So logo scans just there to kind of mitigate the card advantage that you're giving your opponent from attacking shields and let you keep some cards in your hand, because you definitely want to have options against decks that you play. Once you start getting to go with Neptus and Laws in for shields, you want to constantly have some kind of removal like Veil Vortex or General Finbar or Salka or Piercing Judgment in your hand so that you can bounce whatever they play and just keep trying to kill them, which doesn't take more than like 2 or 3 turns. 1 Crystal Memory just is kind of like an extra copy of all the other cards in the deck. There's times where you want it to be a Keeper of Laws, there's times where you want it to be a Star Lantern, there's times where you want it to be a Piercing Judgment. So it was just an excellent card to put in as a 1-of to give you extra access to other things in the deck, especially the 1-ofs like Storm Spark Blast, Wave Lancer, Star Lantern, and Billion Degree Dragon. And also Milporo. Milporo fits the curve really well. If you're able to curve out with either a Seneschal or a Keeper of Laws and follow the chain up the curve with Rusalka into like a Tornado Flame or a Veil Vortex and then a Finbar, Milporo is an excellent just 7-drop to play after you've kind of followed that progression that just basically seals the deal. Like, it's really hard to lose after you go through that sequence of events. Finbar is, God, he's just nuts. The best competitive deck card that they've printed up to this point, I think it's fair to say. Probably over the course of time is going to end up being one of the best ones ever. His ability is just absolutely nuts. Having Rusalka's ability and turning all of your creatures into Aqua Seneschals is absolutely amazing, especially when you get to be attacking with King Neptus and the Laws. They can't deal with your attackers, so you're just going to be drawing cards. It's the best. He's the best card you want for that spot. Seneschal, that's just kind of like your alternate go-to route to start attacking shields. Like, if you don't have a Neptus or Laws, you get to attack with Seneschal, and it just lets you keep cards in your hand, and that's one of the things that this deck does really well. It's another reason why I cut Ragefire Tetsurion, who was in my original list. The reason I wanted to play the deck is because his ability was just never active. You just kept so many cards in hand, which isn't a bad thing. It just made me not want to play that particular card. So, yeah, that's the deck. I played a lot of games against Nature Darklight with a lot of the new cards. I want to play against the new cards. I haven't got to try that yet, so we proxied them up the other day. Played probably 20 games with it, and this deck I would say won about 60% of the time. There's just a lot of times that they just can't do anything about the Neptus and the Laws. You just keep getting in there. But one thing I do like, I did test the new cards, and Veilstalker is just as good as I thought he was going to be. Necros is a bomb in a deck with like Homoculon and Fumes and cards like that. It's absolutely nuts. But it was definitely fun to play against those cards and see what it's going to be like whenever Shattered Alliances come out. One thing I want to touch on is a card that got spoiled today. I talked about it earlier on Twitter before I made this video, and that's the card that lets you manipulate your mana and lets you take a card from your mana zone and add it to your hand. I talked to some people about it back and forth on Twitter and a little bit on Facebook. I don't agree with that should be a mechanic. It was it makes the mana zone decisions that you should make in the early and even then the later turns of the game just not matter. And that's one thing that I liked about this game is, like I said at a lot of my local shop when I'm talking to people about playing Kaijudo, the mana charge phase in Kaijudo is probably the hardest phase for decision-making purposes of any game that I've played up to this point. And I like that. It made it challenging, and it made things matter whenever you charge a 1-of in your deck and then you don't have access to it anymore for the rest of the game. Or when you root trap if they charge an Andromeda and then you root trap an Andromeda, you know you only have to deal with one more Andromeda at the most. And they might not even draw it, but cards that let people manipulate your mana, it's just I don't know. I just don't think it's going to be good for the game. It depends on how far Wizards of the Coast takes it, which I hope they're balanced with it. Because, I mean, it could be fine as long as they keep it on reasonable cards. But if we ever get something cheap to let you do it, it's just going to be nuts. I don't know how much I like it. I kind of disagree with it just because it's a slippery slope to go down. But we'll see what happens. Hopefully they keep things balanced and keep things fun, and everybody keeps enjoying this game because this game's awesome. I love it. I want to keep brewing decks like this. I've been in full-on brew mode, having all kinds of ideas popping in my head. So especially with the new cards getting spoiled out, I'm gonna start proxying up the new cards and testing some decks. I'm gonna start bringing you guys a deck tech 2 or 3 times a week. Just whenever I find something popping in my head, I'm gonna throw it together, test it out some, and if it's got some positive results, I'm gonna throw it up on the channel. So let me know what you guys think of the deck. If you play it and you like it, let me know how you do. Like, comment, subscribe to the video. Check out my other videos, and we'll see you guys next time. See ya.